What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to DSM Pregame Live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube channel and Twitter channel. Guys, if you are new to the channel, if you like the content, if you want to be interactive, make sure to smash that subscribe button. It is the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen with your host. I am one half of them tonight, Dylan Davis. To my left, my faithful co-host, Scotty. The Sixers' 8-game winning streak comes to an end last night in an in-season tournament game at home to the Indiana Pacers. We're going to get a little bit into that game, what went wrong. Obviously, Sixers missing two key role players now, Kelly Oubre Jr. and Nicholas Batum. We'll talk about all that, and then we'll get into our matchup versus the Boston Celtics, the second matchup in Philadelphia in the last week. Huge game to get another winning streak started tonight, but my man, how are you feeling? And by the way, we didn't do the show this morning, but happy hump day. Don't forget.
Yes, sir.
Day of the week.
Yes, sir. Happy hump day, man. We couldn't get the show in this morning. Just not a ton to get into right now with the Eagles on bye week. We didn't have the segment prepared. I went to the game last night, so that kind of threw us off a little bit as well.
Mr. Bad Luck.
Happy. Yeah. I'm that guy, man. I knew it was going to happen. I just had like a weird feeling inside of me. I still laid all my money on, the props I thought would hit, but I had a weird feeling. They'd won 8 in a row, right? Like they were bound to lose one. I guess I just didn't think they would lose in the in-season tournament if they were taking it serious, but they were down quite a few guys, right? Batum, Oubre, obviously, two of your guys that would start, not two starters, but two guys that could start in the starting lineup, and then obviously a bench piece, depending on who would start out of it. But still a great effort, right? The Pacers, they play really fast. I think that's part of the problem playing them 2 times in a row is like they play at a really high pace. They score a lot of points, and you got to keep up. And the Sixers just kind of couldn't keep up in this game. So to that point, got to give some credit to the Pacers in that game last night. It was a pleasure to watch Tyrese Halliburton play.
Yeah,
as annoying as he was, right? Hitting 3 after 3, 15 assists last night, 0 turnovers.
Yeah.
This guy is, up there with Maxey in these conversations of best point guard.
Yeah, potentially your Eastern Conference starting backcourt.
Yeah. Why not?
Game, man.
Why not? Happy
with that said, man, let's get into that Pacers loss a little bit. Obviously, like we said, their 8-game win streak comes to an end. And I think first and foremost, people need to understand that this Indiana Pacers team, you laid it out there. They're fast, they're athletic, and they can shoot the ball. They share the ball incredibly well. And it's not a surprise to me that the Sixers lost this game when you play this team twice in 3 nights, right? So my question is, like, why were Sixers fans so depleted and so like heartbroken about this loss, as if they were going to go on to win the next 72 games they had to play in the season? And I'm seeing tweets about, guys, relax, it's okay. Losses are bound. No shit, losses are bound to happen. Like, are they going 70-12? Like, I'm highly confused with the outlook of the Sixers fans. What some Sixers fans have on this team. And don't get me wrong, I love the enthusiasm, man. And I love the positivity and the way that the Sixers have come out through the first 10 games of the season and changed a lot of people's tunes on them, including my own and yours, right? Yeah. But it's like some people have just done a complete 180 and are acting like this is expected to be like a 60-win team or something now. And that these losses each and every night, they're going to hang their hats on each and every one and complain and bitch and moan about all of them. A couple things were clear in last night's ball game. A, the Sixers' depth has been severely depleted, obviously last night and now tonight. Obviously, the Kelly Oubre Jr. incident, you miss him. They miss his athleticism. They miss his scoring punch. And then you miss Nicholas Batum, who obviously stepped up into Kelly's role the game previous, and it looked okay, and the depth was still there. Nicholas Batum hits 3 threes. But now you take him away, you strip that down, and now Robert Covington starting at the 3, and you don't have the same punch in that fifth piece, right? And you don't have that athleticism that Kelly brings, right? And the scoring. And then you get to the bench, and while they still have bodies to throw out there, right? Pat Bev's going to play, Paul Reed's going to play. They have guys. You don't have that same scoring punch that the duo Batum and Kelly Oubre provide for you, whoever's starting and whoever the 6th man is. Yeah. So they're clearly missing those two tonight, and that's going to be a key factor in the game versus Boston tonight as Nicholas Batum is out as well. And then the other thing for me, the two stars, the guys that combined for 87 points on Sunday night against the same Pacers team. Tyrese Maxey started the game incredibly hesitant, passive, not aggressive, not finishing in the paint with his floaters. What he had single digits at halftime, I believe. Like, he was not aggressive at all in the first half.
0 in the first quarter, 0 towards the end of the second quarter as well.
And then Joel Embiid, who still scored mid to high 30s, who was great last night in the game. So your two stars took turns in different phases of the game and where they took a back seat and struggled, and then you're missing your depth. You add on the fact that this Pacers team can score 140 on any given night.
Yeah.
It's a loss, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, it was a loss, and rightfully so. That's why I wanted to give Pacers that credit at the beginning, because they did. They played a hell of a game, and they played at their pace. We didn't play at our pace. We played at their pace. Honestly, we played at their pace in both of these matchups, so they controlled the tempo for the most part in both of these. We had over 130 points scored by one side, so. That's just the way the Pacers play. The Sixers got to work next time they play a team like that to slow it down a little bit. You don't need to play at their pace and try to score a bunch of points like that. You need to turn it into a slugfest for the most part. And to your point about, the depleted bench, the depth really lacking last night. It's going to lack tonight as well. It's not only the fact that, obviously Oubre and Batum are out, and so that messes up your starting lineup, and Bev and these guys on the bench get the PT. It also requires other guys to get probably too many minutes than what they should get, right? Like a Daniel House, you're going from maybe 5 minutes to 10 minutes now. And Robert Covington, you're going from 10 to 12 minutes to 20 to 25 minutes now. And so when you start getting up in those minutes, that's where those guys as role players stop being as efficient as they are within those, segmented minutes. And then to your point about the stars, man, I completely, oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Good call, guys. Oh my God. I'm not even stoned, man. That was like a really high moment. Could you hear me, Dylan?
I didn't really notice, but now that you pulled the mic down, it's a clear
sounds
difference.
Way better. My bad, guys. I appreciate you calling that out, TR. But yeah, when you talk about the stars last night, Maxey, first of all, what you said is spot on. He looked hesitant. I like what Marshawn Lynch even said. He used the word polite. I think I might have clicked on the wrong comment there. He said Maxey was too polite last night. And that's kind of how I felt too. It almost felt like he wanted the other guys to get involved tonight. It's like, I don't need to have a back-to-back 50-point outing. I don't need to hog the ball tonight, even though I had a great game last game. And yeah, Marshawn, I can only imagine what that actually sounded like. But I thought Maxey was hesitant and not what you want to see. He needs to be confident and know that that's what they need from him. The 5 3-point attempts, that's the one that really bothers me because the Sixers struggle. We saw it last year. They're not a team that hits a ton of threes when your team operates around a big man like Embiid and Tobias Harris, who is a mid-range, specialist. So when you have Max who shoots the ball so efficiently from the 3-point line, look at how many 3-pointers Halliburton took last night. He took 11 or 12 in that game last night. He hit 7 of them. It's roles reversed from the previous game, right, where Maxey went 7 for 12. So didn't after a game where you hit 7 3-pointers, you go out the next game, only shoot 5, especially with how physical they were playing. And then when you look at Embiid, the turnovers, Maxey, the turnovers as well, they combined for 9 turnovers in this game last night. And we know how that script goes, man. When you turn the ball over, you're going to lose the game. When you look at the Pacers, man, they beat us in almost every facet of the game. Rebounding, turnovers, steals, blocks, assists, 3-point percentage, basically everything that matters towards winning a basketball game, they beat us in, and they deserve the win at the end of the day. But
yeah, no, I agree with you, man. The last thing I'll say about last night's ball game is, look, this didn't play as much of a factor as a lot of people were trying to claim on social media. And yes, it was horrific timing considering the Sixers were making their first real run in that second half.
Yeah.
But the officiating, right? And you know what I'm talking about. Can we just be better? Like, that's all, man. You guys get paid a lot of money on the biggest stage.
Yeah.
Can we just be better? You don't know the rules?
Yeah,
you don't know the rules.
Can't
and then
explain.
So then let me ask you this. If KJ Martin had come in and made both free throws last night, do the Sixers get asked if they would like to reshoot the free throws, or are they forced to reshoot the free throws because the rule was broken? And then if Maxey misses one after Martin made both, we lose a point after. You know what I mean? So like, I'm so confused how you get that wrong, and it wasn't like in the blink of an eye this happened. It wasn't too much later into the game, into the quarter.
But that needs to stop happening, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the NFL, you don't get to go back 4 plays, and challenge a call. Like, no. Like, and I know this isn't a challenge. This is like an officiating crew fixing their error, but you just don't do it. It makes the game clunky. Right. It's like, we're sitting there, like, as a person that was at the game yesterday, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the court and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Speaking of the court, there's a lot of comments about the court right now. And I will say,
it ain't wrong, man. That's all.
I will say, when people were posting pictures like throughout the day before warm-ups, I thought, that looks pretty cool. Yeah. It'll be fun. When you watch a live action game played on that court, dude, there were times like I get it, the ball's orangish and the court's bright red, but there were times like I lost the ball for a second when someone was swinging it on like. And cutting to the rack, like I lost the ball.
And the Sixers were wearing navy blue uniforms with a navy blue stripe down the court.
Yeah.
So it's like you can barely see them when they're in like the middle of the court. So like, I don't know, the color schemes. Is it necessary? Like,
no.
It's cool in some of the arenas. Like some of the teams have really cool colorways and they set it up nicely. Like, I think it might have been the Lakers that had a pretty decent one on their court.
From what I've seen, I liked Oklahoma City's, I think, the blue.
OKC, they had, like, the light blue.
Yeah.
I like the colors as well. It's the bright red, though, man. It's like, why? Yeah. You know, like, why not make it, like, navy blue or something? I would almost be
1,000%,
more cool with that.
And now that the Sixers winning streak came to an end on that floor, I'm forced to hate it for the time being. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The other thing I wanted to say about this game last night, because there's a lot of talk. I was listening to the radio this morning, and, John Kincaid on the 97.5 morning show.
Who, by the way, congratulations, has beaten cancer for the third time.
Yes. Congratulations to him. And kudos to John, because he was the only one that I agreed with in this conversation. Because he basically was saying, how the Sixers should like really try to go and win this thing and just like kind of build that winning culture through the in-season tournament. And that is kind of where I'm at too. It's like, am I going to be sad or like upset if the Sixers get eliminated from the in-season tournament? No. But should they try to win it? I think they should. Like, I think they should try to win as many accolades as they possibly can to get rid of the losing culture that has been in Philadelphia and in this organization for as long as it has. So, like, to that point, it's not the end of the world. I do get that. The in-season tournament, it's not super important.
I'll try.
Even the 500K checks, it's like, that's great for the little guys that don't really play. So it's like the guys that are playing,
there's a little bit more incentive. If you win like MVP or whatever, there's like $1 million bonus. There's
true. So that's worth it. I mean, I would try to win it for $1 million.
The analogy I can come up with before we get into this Boston matchup tonight is kind of like college basketball with the conference tournaments before the NCAA tournament. And I'm not talking about the auto bids that need to win it to get in, or at least need to make their conference tournament championship to have a decent shot to get in. I'm talking like your Kansases, your Dukes, your Kentuckys, your those teams that are making the NCAA tournament no matter what. You're still trying to win your conference tournament because it's the same style of play, and build that winning culture in a tournament bracket,
the playoffs
where
or
in this season tournament yeah, it's not playing a team multiple times, but it is, if you made it to Vegas, I believe it is set up in a bracket like schedule. So I do feel your point. No one's going to be like upset if the Sixers lose the in-season tournament.
Yeah.
But
Not
it
like
would
something
it's
I'm
like
gonna
something to build in the right direction.
hold against them, but it is like you look at who's in their group. It's the Pistons, the Cavs, the Pacers, and like down the line, the Hawks. Those are teams you should beat. So like that's kind of how I look at it. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily the in-season tournament that matters. These are just opponents within your group that, in my opinion, you should be dominating. Now, I get that game last night. There's not much they could have done. I get it. The Pacers play at a crazy rate when they're hitting threes like that. It's going to be tough, but still a team you should beat ultimately at home.
Yeah, man. All right, let's get into the Celtics game. Enough of that loser talk, right? Because
yes,
it's time
sir.
for
We
the
got to move on
to start another winning streak, and there's no better team to start a winning streak against than our rival in the Boston Celtics, who we beat just 7 short days ago. And to take the first 2 against Boston, you want to talk about building a culture, building something positive to move forward with the rest of the year for the Sixers. Yeah, taking 2 in a week against this Boston Celtics team who sits at 8-2 with you, might have the best starting 5 in the league. That would be a confidence builder. Now, what are both teams going to look like tonight? Jaylen Brown, questionable. Kristaps Porzingis, questionable. Commented on it earlier. Not sold that he's playing tonight. Sixers, Nicholas Batum, and obviously Kelly out. Embiid, going to be another game time decision. It's a back-to-back. He was questionable last night. We'll see what they end up deciding to do there. If Joel Embiid doesn't play, the Sixers have no shot. Like, we can I can flip back and forth. I'm joking, but you can flip back and forth on this game, and they have no shot to win this game if they're missing Embiid, Batum, and Kelly Oubre Jr. But I believe he will play because I believe that him and Nick Nurse specifically are trying to build that difference in the locker room than what the Sixers are accustomed to. No
and this
more
could be a big decider on that.
Yeah,
you go out here, you win this game. That's a big, big momentum push, man. That's way bigger than even the first game, obviously. So
I agree. So I hope and pray that Embiid's a go. And honestly, I would like for Boston to be a full go as well to get that next test on the in the schedule, right? But when you
because I mean, if Jaylen Brown misses the game, who they starting? Sam Hauser? I mean, they don't got many options. So I agree for a full test. Let's get the full lineup because I do agree with you as well. I think Embiid's going to be highly motivated, unless it's like a real injury, right? Like that's the only thing I think would hold him back. Tobias Harris, I don't know if you mentioned it. He's questionable as well. I don't know if he's
questionable with the neck, which by the way was crazy. Like that replay last night was kind of sick to see the way his head bent with a full grown man sitting on his shoulders, right, and on top of him. But
makes you worry for him.
I think he'll be good to go. He came back in and looked fine, and I understand a night's sleep, like maybe it stiffens up. I don't know, but. I would assume he's good to go, and I'm going to assume that Joel's playing. So with that said, let's just say that these teams 5-on-5, obviously outside of knowing that Nicholas Batum is out tonight, let's get down to it. Scotty, key to victory number 1 for me is just more of the same from the first matchup. If you go back to that first matchup against the Boston Celtics, the Sixers got beat in a number of areas in the scoring department, right? They shot less threes. They made 6 less threes. They shot and made less free throws. They shared the ball less in the assist by 8 in the assist totals, right? But where did the Sixers win this game against the Boston Celtics? In the paint and on the glass. They out-rebounded them 56-43 in that matchup. They had 12 offensive rebounds and points in the paint, 56-40 from the Philadelphia. With Joel Embiid. And it ends with Joel Embiid tonight. And I saw a couple comments above, one saying that Maxey needs a bounce-back game, which he does. He needs to be aggressive from the jump. But again, you're looking at Embiid to kind of set the tempo. The way that he ended that game last night, I did not like to see when he held on to the ball for 8 seconds and then chucked one from half court to
the backward shot killed me, man. That one killed me in the arena.
Yeah, the 5 turnovers just cannot happen. But I think it starts and ends with Joel Embiid tonight. And my first key to victory is they have to stay solid on the glass, continue to limit second opportunities for the Boston Celtics. And I think you'll find yourself in another tight ball game.
Yeah, no, I think that's a huge part, the rebounding, and obviously with Boston's lack of size, especially if KP doesn't play, that's something the Sixers should be able to take advantage of. So I like that point. Funny, Maxey bounce back game. It's funny, and I agree. I do think he's in line for a bounce back game, but he had 27 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds last night. Like, this is where we are at with Tyrese Maxey. I just wanted to acknowledge that. He is going to bounce back from 27, 5, and 4 this game. But yes, I do believe that as well. But I'll throw it to the other guys in this situation because you have Oubre out, you have Batum out, you have Tobias a little beat up, and beat up on a back-to-back. Tyrese Maxey, coming off a game where he didn't shoot the ball very well. So let's have some of these other guys help. Obviously, D-Melt chipped in big time last game with 30 points. Let's continue that. When D-Melt gets hot, he usually stays hot for a few games, right? We might get this for maybe 2 or 3 more games from D-Melt. And so to that point, let it fly from the 3-point line, get involved offensively when the time calls. Not saying take more than your usual, not saying chuck it up like that, but definitely need the contributions from him. We need those minutes from Pat Bev. Rocco, he needs to give us something. If he could just hit 1-3 for us tonight, that would be great, because he does have to let him fly. Like, that's just where we're at when he's in the lineup. He has to shoot it. So if he could just hit one of those for us tonight. And, when you're looking at these matchups, man, I know we don't got Batum, right? He's one of the better defenders. You don't got Oubre. He's a nice, lengthy defender. Let's go ahead. Let's throw Jaden Springer out there and see what he can do defensively.
Yeah, you almost kind of have to.
I don't understand why he didn't get an opportunity last night with the way Halliburton was cooking, man. I think he should have got a shot. But when you're lacking on defense, missing Batum, you got to look in other areas. And, Daniel House, you can give him a look. I really don't want to see Korkmaz.
You can't.
He only played 2 minutes, but just let it ride. Don't put him in.
Yeah, no, I think Nick was just the same thing as the game before that. Like, he
trying
was
something,
giving him that first opportunity because he needs to fill bodies and fill roles. And I think it's quite evident that in that minute or two that Korkmaz is on the floor, it's not working out, and he gets the quick pull. And thank God. Right now, not to say that Robert Covington was leaps and bounds better and that Daniel House is the answer. No, they're not the answers, but they're a much more viable option on the floor for the Sixers team on both ends of the floor than Furkan Korkmaz brings you. My second key to victory, man, it kind of has to do with cleaning up the glass and limiting the Boston Celtics to one possession at a time, but just being locked in defensively. The last time out, you held this Boston team to 103 points, right? Jason Tatum did not shoot the ball well. Jaylen Brown, outside of a late 3 to make this a one-possession game, did not shoot the ball well at all, right? Drew Holiday was okay. Porzingis was the guy that hurt you, and he's questionable tonight. Yeah. But from what I'm seeing over the more specifically last night, right? But obviously you gave up a shit ton of points to Indiana on Sunday night as well, you're missing Oubre and you're missing Batum now. And from what I saw from Robert Covington last night on the defensive end and Daniel House, and when they did have Furkan in there, having to fluctuate so many guys in and out of the rotation and the starting lineup so early in the year is messing a little bit with this team's defensive communication, I'll call it.
Connectivity, yeah.
Robert Covington, I saw go under 3 different screens last night on Tyrese Halliburton where he buried him with a 3.
Yeah.
And then Pat Bev or Joel would say something to them. And then Daniel House comes in and gets beat backdoor, right? Like, they're not – I thought one thing that the Sixers did incredibly well earlier on in the season was their communication defensively and how they switched so seamlessly. Well, now you're missing 2 lengthy wings on defense. You're smaller, you're less athletic, and these are guys that aren't normally going to be in the rotation when you are fully healthy. I think being locked in on defense together as a unit, communicating, switching things, that's going to be a key tonight for this Sixers team. Because, man, if you allow Tatum and Porzingis and Jaylen Brown to get the switches they want and to attack the mismatches they see on the floor, it's going to be a long night for the Sixers defensively.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you wholeheartedly there. And I think you saw it over the last 2 games. While the Pacers do like to turn up the pace, it doesn't make it acceptable that you allow 125 plus points in both of these meetings. So you got to turn it on. And you see spurts of great defensive play, right? Like when Patrick Beverley comes in, they get a little bit of unison going. And most of the time it's with Paul Reed lineup in that second unit. They really start to get some stops without Embiid on the floor. And they just got to play like that the entire game against a team like Boston. And you really got to do it against the Pacers too, with how many points they score. But obviously we know the volatility that comes with the Boston Celtics and their shooting abilities. I mean, as Marshawn Lynch mentions here, Sam Hauser. Hauser, however the hell you want to
I call him
say his name. But yeah, don't let him be the guy that hits 3, 4, 5 threes from the corners. Because I believe he hit 3 or 4 in the first matchup. Yeah, and it was like just kind of keeping the Celtics around. Yeah. Don't allow that. He can be that really annoying guy off their bench. I see that already very early into his career. But to kind of follow up on Sam Hauser in the threes, I think the Sixers need to take a look at the 3-point attempts last night. You only shot, 22 last night to 37 attempts from the Pacers. Yeah. So the Pacers shot 15 more threes than the Sixers alone. They made 7 more threes than the Sixers last night, 13-6 made. And the Sixers shot 27% from the 3-point line. So as I mentioned early, Maxey, every game needs to be approaching 10, 11 threes, in my opinion. With the efficiency that he shoots it, there's just no reason not to. There's no reason to tire yourself out by making yourself have to get to the rim every single time. Let it fly. We know you can shoot it. We trust you. So let it happen. But not just him. Around the team as a whole, we got to be willing to take the threes, take the open shots off of Embiid, double teams, so on and so forth. And you got to make them, right?
You got to knock them down, man. I mean, that was the story of the first Boston game. Those numbers you just relayed from last night's Pacers game, the first matchup against Boston a week ago, they took 13 more threes than the Sixers, made 6 more. The Sixers only shot 26.5% from the 3-point line. Yes, you won that game. And yes, that's a positive you could take forward to say, hey, it ain't like the Sixers had to shoot lights out from deep to beat this Boston Celtics team. We can be better in that area and a lot of other areas and be more successful against this Boston Celtics team. But in the same breath, the Celtics only shot 31% from deep that night, even though on a higher volume and 6 more makes. So they didn't shoot their best from beyond the 3-point line on that particular night as well. So the Sixers need to be ready, willing, and able to let it fly from the 3-point line. I thought that, like you mentioned, Maxey's kind of the motor in that department, and he has to be the guy that's letting it fly early. But I thought outside DeAnthony Melton, everybody was. I don't even know if Tobias Harris attempted a 3 in last night's game. Not that I want Joel. I think Joel was 0 for 4 last night from beyond the 3-point line. They just. I mean, you got Pat Bev taking a handful. You don't want that, obviously. That becomes the question when you're missing the 2 guys that you're missing in this lineup. Who do you really want taking these shots?
I know that's the rough part of it.
But that's where the Maxey volume has to come into play.
Yeah.
Because if he's not on, we can talk about him needing to shoot it better and being more consistent. Yeah. But at least I'm okay with those takes.
Yeah.
If I'm living and dying because our center's taking 5 or 6 of them and Pat Bev's taking 2 or 3 off the bench and Rocco's taking 3 and he's 0 for 3, that then becomes a problem because you know what that means to me? Those are bad possessions. Are those really your best shots?
Forcing up shots.
A Maxey open 3 is a good look.
Yeah. And that's the problem when I'm looking at Maxey's numbers from last night. That's why we call it a bounce back game, but not only because of the bad shooting 9 for 23, it's also that you took 23 shots, but only 5 threes. Like there's no world where Maxey should only be shooting 5 threes, especially when you get 23 shots on the night, man. It's just not only is it bad, just for this singular Pacers game, in the middle of the start of the season or whatever you want to call this, the first third of the season, but it's bad when you know how today's NBA is. Teams let it fly. They let it fly from the 3-point line. Boston scores a lot of points because they shoot a lot of threes. Doesn't mean they make a lot of them all the time, but the more you shoot, the more you'll make, the more comfortable you get. So Maxey, yeah, he needs to get up around 10 attempts per game. I would say Melton, yeah, if you're open, like open shots, 5 or 6, I'm cool with that. Like that right there is close to your attempts from last night, right? And it is tough when you don't have Batum because he gives you 3 or 4 attempts. Like Oubre gives you 4 or 5 attempts. So like you lose, 9 to 10 attempts from those guys put together. But you got to find ways to fill in those holes. That's just what has happened.
Here's what I'll say. It's not a good look when your best player's sweet spot, so to speak, is the worst shot in basketball. And what I mean by that, in this day and age, the worst shot in basketball is a mid-range jumper. Now, luckily, we have a Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant-esque jump shot and a 7-foot MVP, and that's where he operates. But my point is, if he operates there, you can't have a bunch of other guys settling for mid-range jumpers and a lack of
bias operates there. Right.
You have to let it fly because, like you said, you might not shoot a high clip. The Celtics only shot 31.5% from 3 in our first matchup, but they still made 15 because they took more attempts. You
That's
get
just
so like
NBA, man. That's what it is. Like you got to adjust with the times. And I'm not saying that's a Nick Nurse thing because it was like that before Nick Nurse, right? Where guys were hesitant to shoot the ball. I don't know what it is. But you gotta raise your confidence and you gotta let it fly. That's today's NBA. You look at the Heat in the finals last year, man. Even the Denver Nuggets, Jokic finds guys for open threes. Like that's how you run the score up. That's how you get big leads. That's how you score points. In today's NBA,
well, and it's also how some of these bursts happen. These ridiculous 18-point comebacks. How do you think they happen so quickly?
Yeah, you got because
teams go on a 9-0 run in a minute.
But some nights you'll see the Sixers and they come out and they're letting them fly. And then other nights like last night, you just see a little bit of hesitancy. So they got to make that more consistent. The other thing I would say, just along with what I said earlier about Maxey and Embiid, the 9 turnovers last night, you got to cut the turnovers in general. Cut them because you can't give the Boston Celtics easy possessions, fast break layups. We saw that at the beginning of the Boston game last time, right? Jason Tatum get into the cup on fast breaks. We saw Derek White get out on fast breaks. Jaylen Brown get out on fast break dunks when they went down early and then came back in that first quarter. So got to cut the turnovers. You had 16 turnovers to the Pacers 11 last night. It starts with Maxey. It starts with Embiid. That's the guys who have the ball in their hands for the most part. So they got to take care of the ball tonight, man. Yeah. Don't make it easy on them. Now, that's what I'll ask for tonight from the 76ers. Don't shoot yourself in the foot and don't make it easy for the Boston Celtics. You are a little undermanned without Batum, Oubre. I get it. You still have Embiid. You still have Maxey. You still have the pieces there that you should be able to go out here and win this game. If anything, look at it this way. Kind of evens the playing field in a sense, right? Like we looked at the advantage for the Sixers against the Celtics to be the depth. Well, it's shortened a little bit, but you still have that starting lineup with a power punch in it. That can knock a team out. So just don't come out and, kind of, I don't want to see the Sixers like bend the knee tonight. I don't want to see none of that second night of a back-to-back, second game against Boston. You won the first one. Don't want to see any of that. I want to see a fully competitive team. And I do expect that. Let's be honest. I do expect them to come out motivated tonight, not wanting to lose 2 games in a row because I trust Nick Nurse to lead this team in the right direction, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. And with that said, like Martian Lynch is talking about here, and trusting Nick Nurse, I'll go back to this comment. If I had one thing to ask of our new head coach tonight, it would be to let the younger athletic kids play. KJ Martin, Jaden Springer, at least test it, give it a test drive. Because for me, you look at the Celtics lineup, and the one thing that's always given us fits, right? Their size and their athleticism.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's face it, with the Sixers missing these 2 guys in Oubre and Batum, you're smaller and you're older and you're slower. I mean, do I want to see Marcus Morris get his feet wet still? Yeah. But from what I can see, he's a little slower out on a basketball floor, right? He's a little older. Robert Covington, a slower option, right? Compared to what you had. So let KJ Martin, let Jaden Springer get a little bit of action tonight and throw different looks at a Jason Tatum, at a Jaylen Brown, at a Drew Holiday, right? Like, yeah, like those first 2 Furkan minutes, let it be KJ Martin. And if he comes out and misses a layup and gets beat on defense, well, then he gets the same leash that Furkan got.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
You need quick answers and quick results. But
Just
at
try
least
something
give him
different.
the 2 minutes and not the same movie I keep watching in Furkan freaking Korkmaz.
And so let me ask you this. So I do agree with everything you said there. I'm looking at the Celtics starting lineup for last game. Now, this is just within mind that Porzingis will play and start. How do you think the matchups go tonight?
From the Sixers' point of view, defensively?
Yeah, defensively looking at it.
Embiid, well, what did they did have Embiid on KP last game, right? They just had the Boston reversed it and through.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's really no other option for Embiid to even follow around out there.
The Sixers switch a lot with Nick Nurse. I noticed that. They switch almost everything at certain points.
Let's just say pre-switch, they're crossing half court, getting set up.
Yeah.
I would say it's Embiid on Porzingis. It's Tobias on
Tatum.
It's
or Rocco.
Right. Or Rocco on Jaylen Brown. Vice versa. D'Anthony Melton on
Derek White.
I guess Drew Holiday.
Drew?
Just because he's a little bigger and stronger than Maxey.
That is true. That's a good point. And Maxey is a little quicker to maybe stay with Derek White.
Drew would definitely try to use his size and his frame in the mid-range and to post up Maxey.
The only reason I said
everything.
The only reason I said Derek White at first is because it always seems like he kills us, man. Like I don't know what it is, if he just does like all the little shit, but he kills us every time. Last game he had 3 points against the Knicks, so that's his floor, right? But he seems to always hit his ceiling against us. But I do agree. I think D-Melt better matchup size wise with Drew, and then Maxey quickness wise should be able to keep up with Derek White. So interesting though.
Yeah, man.
I'm interested to see what they do with the forwards. That's kind of why I asked. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. You could throw D-Melt on Jaylen Brown. You could.
Yeah.
But, like, is that worth it? I don't know.
I think they're versatile enough 1 through 4 to switch. And even 1 through 5. If Embiid, a possession here and there, has to get switched, gets a bad switch on to Tatum, we all know.
Up on Jaylen Brown, man. He straps him up.
Right.
So,
force him left, right? So,
exactly.
It is interesting. I will say this before we get to our standout stars and our game predictions. Yeah. I am nervous, but it's an excited kind of nervous because I think you're going to learn a little bit something about this Sixers team. But again, you can't overreact or read too much into it because if they lose this game, oh my God, they lost back-to-back games. They're 8 whatever. I know the sky's going to be falling for 50% of Sixers Nation, but again, like, how are you going to ultimately judge this team when they are missing 2 guys that are going to be playing 20, 25 plus minutes for them on every night? You know what I mean? So that's kind of difficult to grade them on an even scale. But at the same time, you're going to learn a lot more about this starting 5 and the level that Maxey and Embiid can get you to strictly on their own. Because if you come out tonight and just get run out of the gym, if you're losing by 16 in the fourth quarter, that's a bad loss because Batum and Oubre are key pieces. We can clearly see that they miss them. Are they 20-point differences against the Boston Celtics?
Right.
Should Embiid and Maxey be getting blown out on their home floor against that Boston Celtics team?
Right.
So it's interesting, man.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. I think that's a very good point. It's like, I don't think tonight I'm grading this game on whether they win or lose. Although if they win, that's obviously an automatic A+. But and it's not that I don't think they can't. It's not that I don't think they can win. It's not like that at all. But I'm grading it on the starting 5. Like, how do they show up tonight?
Yeah.
Does Tobias continue to look aggressive? Does Tyrese Maxey come out and fix the weaknesses from his game last night? Does Embiid come out, look a little more composed, not turn the ball over? But still give you that dominant effect that we saw last night with 39 points and over 10 rebounds. Yeah. And he's been great passing the ball, man. It's just the turnovers sometimes. And it's going to happen. Just cut them. That's all right. Fix the mistakes from last night.
I would just say I'm a little nervous for this one because the first time around we predicted them to win, but I never thought in any part of my mind that the Sixers could have a possibility of getting blown out in that game.
Yeah.
There's an inkling in the back of my mind that if they are to lose, they could lose by like 13 or 14 tonight. Yeah. And it'd be an ugly loss. You know what I mean? And, again, should Oubre and Batum mean that much? I don't know, but I think it's evident from last night's loss how much they are missing those two again. And I think you can compare the Pacers and the Celtics. They're both going to chuck 45 to 50 plus threes as a unit. They share the basketball, right? So we're going to find out in less than 2 hours, man.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great point, though. When you talk about what the game feels like, it would be very Sixers of the past to come out and get blown out tonight and just kind of give up. And like I said earlier, bend the knee, right? We already won one at home. It's okay if we lose this. I'm like, no, it's never okay to lose. And that's the way this team needs to operate. Doesn't mean you're going to win every game. We won't, but you need to go out there and give your best. And them giving their best means they're competing with every single team in the NBA. So to that point, I want to see it happen tonight. And I do think it's another chance for Embiid, right? Show that this year's different. Regular season doesn't make it different.
I think Maxey
matters in the second round.
I would argue for our big three. I would say this
all three of them.
Is such a more important game than last night's matchup was heading into it.
Can you carry us for one game?
Yes.
For just one game against Boston, can you carry us?
Right. Or at least can you show me that the three of you showed up, and if you lose by 3, you lose by 3, but they shot lights out from 3 and we're missing 2 key pieces. Like, that's one thing. But so I say the big 3 because you all showed us a lot in the first matchup. You gave us belief that this can be different. But now I need a little bit more validation. I need a little bit more evidence and proof from these 3. Tobias Harris can't be hesitant tonight. Can't come out and give us 9 points, 11 points, right? Tyrese Maxey gave us 50, struggled to shoot last night, was hesitant in the first half. Need you to show me that you can pick it back up versus Boston. And then, more importantly, Joel Embiid, who I think it's evident that the Boston Celtics don't have a single body on that roster that they can throw at him. If their game plan is to use Jrue Holiday in that role in the first half again, good luck, because do we have an injury status or what is it?
Yeah, so Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis are not going to be playing tonight.
Oh.
And that's the only update. Both Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis will miss tonight's game versus 76ers.
Well,
on ESPN. You know what, though? This is the NBA's fault for ruining this game tonight, because why the hell was ours on the back end of a back-to-back after the in-season tournament day? First of all, I know that doesn't necessarily affect the Celtics, but just kind of weird how the schedule's played out. But still no update on Embiid from what I'm seeing. I wonder if that makes
I'm trying to log on.
Go ahead. What'd you say?
I'm trying to log on to DraftKings right now and see
what the props
what
are
that
looking
line's
like.
at. Oh, it dropped. It's the 2.5 now.
Boston's still favored?
Still favored, yeah.
Interesting.
That could be a bad sign for it.
If Embiid plays now, I would say the Sixers need to win this game. Yeah, they should win this game. Won't be the end of the world, but they should win this game tonight.
Yeah.
If you're not playing against Kristaps Porzingis and Jaylen Brown, who the hell has started? It's going to be Al Horford and Sam Hauser or Peyton Pritchard. So, you got to take advantage tonight. I do wonder if it makes the Sixers a little bit more acceptable to Embiid sitting out, though. Although I wouldn't go that route, man. Take advantage of the moment.
Here's the thing. Does it take a little bit of the heat off of the game? Right, for sure. There's 2 of their best players missing. But at the same time, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it takes the meaning out of it for them, not for us.
Go and take a 2-0 series lead on them to start the season. I do not care.
It's not like Jaylen Brown played good last game anyway. So
do they care if Embiid misses a game against them and they go 3-0 against us in the season? No.
Jason Tatum would come out and have his best game of the season against us without Embiid. So no worries about that.
Yeah, no. Now my question is I'm in a weird spot. Do I lay it while the price is still great? or do I wait for that Embiid bomb to drop? And because if I lay it right now and he's out, I have a bad feeling. Not to be like we're definitely
Still have a chance, but it's
deeper than them.
definitely
but they
not.
by far have the best player on the floor.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
If Embiid is playing, this team cannot lose this game. Yeah, exactly. And I do think Embiid will play, man. There's just some type of feeling I got here. But
well, again, because if like man. I just don't see why this would be the game where you give him that rest day. Like I get it's the second half of a back-to-back, but if them two missing this game has anything to do with it, I think that's asinine. Again, why would you not put your foot on their throat to start the year, so to speak, and then let him rest against when we play Detroit again or Charlotte or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? When we play Washington again, let him get that rest day if you want an extended break. Like, just because they're missing, like, why level the playing field? Why even that out?
Right.
For the Boston Celtics. Like, all right, they're missing two guys. Yeah, they're missing two guys, and the MVP's sitting, so we still have a chance to go win this game on the road. Like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, if they do that and then he plays on Friday, that's
what I'm saying.
I just said everything about the play-in tournament. Well, they're a little too worried about the play-in tournament if that's what's going on.
Who do we play on Friday?
Get out of here. The Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta.
That's the game. Like
that, you could sit him. I mean, you could. I mean, but if you have a day off, you shouldn't. If he can play, he should just be playing. Let's put it that way. If he can play, he should just be playing. He doesn't need to sit out games at this point, man. Like,
I agree. Hold on.
If he can play, he should play.
Tonight, I would play him.
Yeah.
All right, here you go. All right, Boston, he plays Atlanta. At Atlanta, is that an in-season tournament game, I guess?
That is, yeah.
All right, so play him
Tuesdays and Fridays.
All right, well, guess what? Sunday, he gets the rest in Brooklyn, okay? 3 p.m. game Sunday afternoon in Brooklyn. Joel Embiid gets the weekend off. All right. That's the game you give him. Right.
Yeah.
Then he plays against Cleveland, or you let him rest. I don't know. I don't know, but you don't sit him tonight.
Back there.
Yeah. But you don't sit him tonight simply because Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis are out tonight. Like that would be incredibly
he's injured. You sit him if he can't go.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be able to go if they were playing.
Yes. Listen. If there is even a 2% issue with Joel Embiid, let him rest tonight. Fine with me. But my point is, miss me with the left hip soreness, okay? Because he
got a little bruise.
He seemed all right when he was dropping 35 plus last night, all right, and grabbing double-digit rebounds, all right? So, and falling all over the ground. So, miss me with that. Let's call it what it is. It's a rest night. So, if there is any issue, he sits. If it's not, no, you play him and give him that rest night over the weekend.
No, I agree wholeheartedly.
With that said, Scotty,
go get this W.
Yeah. Who's the guy? Who gets it done tonight? Obviously, again, there's less steam around this game with 2 of their 5 missing, but Sixers still have to go out there and get the job done. Who is going to do the job tonight?
I think our big 3, I think they will show up. I think they'll show up in big fashion tonight, especially with those guys out. I think they'll look to kind of come out and take control of this game early. I think that's going to be key for this for the Sixers.
Right.
Don't let the Celtics hang around now, right? This is a game that you should come out, take control of as long as Embiid is playing. But I'm going to go with another guy, as I mentioned earlier in this show, DeAnthony Melton, man. Ooh. Right? He has been horrid for 99.9% of this season so far. But last night, he was on fire, and he's back right in that same building. Maybe the red floor had him on fire. I don't know. I hope that's not the case because the floor will be different tonight. But I look for DeAnthony Melton just to keep that up, man. Obviously, getting involved on the defensive end. He's always huge there. Getting in the passing lanes, rebounding, helping out there, help win that rebounding battle. But more importantly, we know he's going to let it fly. You got to knock it down against Boston. We saw what you looked like in the playoffs last year. Look, DeAnthony Melton, Embiid might get a little tensed up when he plays Boston. You know, Tyrese Maxey might get a little tensed up when he plays Boston. But there's no room for our role players to be getting tensed up in big games. No. DeAnthony Melton, go out there and play your game, dude.
The way the world isn't on your shoulders, all right?
Yeah, it's on these guys.
I like the pick, and I'll say this too. The one thing that the one negative you can take away from last night is that you finally got the help from D'Anthony Melton. You got a lot more than just help from D'Anthony Melton.
Yeah.
You got a star-like performance with 30 last night.
Crazy to say, yeah.
And it didn't pay off. And that's what stings a little bit about that one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with his running mate tonight, and I'm going to go with Kendrick Perkins, best point guard in the Eastern Conference right now. I'm going to go with Tyrese Maxey. Again, I know we chuckled at the bounce back spot because what did he have last night? 27. Yeah. But he did not shoot the ball well. Man. He shot, low 40%, maybe even 30%, high 30% from the floor. He was hesitant in the first half, which you can't afford against a foe like the Boston Celtics.
Yep.
And he's the motor at times, right? So for me, I'm looking at Tyrese Maxey to have that ceiling-esque type of game tonight. And what I mean by that is this. You and I have compared him to James Harden steering the ship here in Philadelphia. Yeah. And how James Harden's basement, his floor last year, was what? 12 points on
9 points,
30% shooting, right? 8 points, 9 points in game 7, right? That's his floor, but his ceiling is 45 in game 1, right? Yeah. Well, Maxey's ceiling this year is 50, but his floor is still 20 to 25 on bad shooting. Well, guess what? You had that bad shooting performance last night. Now you get this team. You're looking to take a stranglehold on them tonight. Come out with that. Listen, if you get 27 again, that's fine, but maybe it's 27 with 4 or 5 threes and efficient shooting.
Yeah.
And maybe you have 9 or 10 assists in this game as well, right? Like limit the 1 turnover, something like that's what I'm looking for from Tyrese Maxey tonight. And I think if you get that performance, efficiency is so key against the Celtics team, man.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris to stay efficient. Joel Embiid to have an efficient 50% plus from the field tonight is key for me. So I'm looking for Tyrese Maxey to do that in the backcourt with D'Anthony Melton.
Yeah, I like the pick. Obviously, I'm always going to be on the Maxey train. And I would say, just to go along with your point, bad shooting night last night. He had a bad shooting night the last time they played against the Celtics. He still dropped 25 points. This is what we're talking about. The basement floor game, right, for Tyrese Maxey is 25 points and 9 rebounds on 11 for 27 shooting. Now, the 3 for 11 from the three-point line. You got to shoot the ball better against the Boston Celtics. He's due for a good shooting game against the Boston Celtics. So, to that point, I love the pick, man.
Yeah. Do the Sixers get a win tonight, man? Yeah, I think that they do. I think that I'm a believer, and so far I'm trusting in Nick Nurse and Joel Embiid's plan together. And I expect it to be, another, I don't know, 6:45 p.m. announcement on what he did and walked in pregame warmups and if he's ready to go. But I will say, unless there is an actual injury, I'm going to be disappointed if Joel Embiid does not play tonight. I see no reason why you would level the playing field for a Boston Celtics team that's depleted when the Sixers are already depleted. We spent the first 30 minutes of tonight's show talking about how those 2 wing players missing are affecting the Sixers. Now you're going to take the MVP off the floor just because Boston's not 100% tonight? Fuck that. Go out. You already took one off of them a week ago. You play them 3 more times. Take the first 2. Yeah. It's in the other 2 come in Boston later on in the year. Take the first 2. At worst, you're 2-2 in the regular season, tiebreaker wise, when it comes to the Boston Celtics, a team you're going to be battling with for seeding. I hope come the end of the year. Both 8-2 at the moment. Go out. Joel Embiid needs to be dominant tonight. Tyrese Maxey needs to be efficient, and Tobias Harris needs to be aggressive. Those are the words I would use for those 3 players. The Sixers will get a win tonight. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think with both of these teams, it's always more of a slowed down playoff-like atmosphere. Now you're missing a couple key scores for both sides.
Missing probably about 40 points from the Boston Celtics side, and probably about 30 points from the
close.
Sixers side, so
I would say that the last game was what, 106, 103.
Yeah, 106, 103.
I'll give you 108 to 102 tonight for the Sixers.
I like it. Yeah, I'm going with the Sixers W in this one as well, man. The Kristaps Porzingis, Jaylen Brown. Honestly, I was kind of leaning towards taking them anyways, even before that was announced, even before.
Well, I was loving them plus 6 earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't a spot. It was just a spot where I wanted to believe that the Sixers are different and that they will bounce back. They're not going to have 2 losses in a row at home.
Right.
They're not
After
going
winning
to
8
allow this to
straight.
continue.
Right.
So nonetheless, I was contemplating going with them. That kind of solidified it for me that the Sixers need to win this game. They have to win this game as long as Embiid is playing, and he should play in this game. And I kind of agree with you. The only thing I worry is that both teams shot. Maybe that's just what these games will be, though, right? Is the bad shooting because they both shot miserably in that first matchup.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I feel like the Sixers, they're going to play some good defense tonight. Can Boston stay in it from my point of view? I think they should be able to. It's going to be highly dependent on Jason Tatum, right? And where he's at, if he's hitting shots tonight.
I got to be honest with you, man. I don't even think that matters. To me, if the Sixers win, if the Sixers win, I think this needs to even be not needs to be that you win. I don't care if you win by 1, but this could be way more than a 6-point lay than I slated. Like I watched Giannis give the Pacers a 54-piece nugget last week, and they still lost by almost double digits.
Yeah,
like this is a game where you're missing 2 of your top scorers. Drew's not. I mean, a max night for Drew is maybe 20 points from Drew Holiday.
He's hitting from 3.
Al Horford, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White. Like, I don't foresee Derek White giving us 30.
The only way is if they come out like on fire from the 3-point line. They're going to chuck them up at an even higher rate tonight to stay in the game. So it's going to be highly dependent, not just on Jason Tatum, to your point.
My point was like I feel like Tatum could give you 45 tonight, and it's still
wouldn't be enough.
Still not enough efficiently for the Celtics to get the
job
job
done. Can give you 40. I mean, if he needs to, if he has to go out there and get
Tatum could give you 50, but if Embiid and Maxey combine for 70, well then we're still deeper than them outside of those 2. You know what I mean? So
So the total line is set at 223 right now.
Yeah, I think that's crazy high. For these 2 teams, I think that's really high, dude.
It's like, do the Sixers cool off, or do they just kind of keep going from the Pacers matchups? You know what I mean? Shooting the ball and scoring at a high rate.
Well,
I wanted to see what their team total is.
My question here, too, is like, do I just take the 2.5 points you're giving me, or do I just say F it and take the plus 120 on the money line? It's 2.5 points. 2.5 points. Like, think about that. Like, we're saying now that if Embiid plays, they should win. But this is a Sixers up 1. Tatum has the ball. I still win because I had plus 2.5. You know what I like? Do I just take the points you're giving me?
Yeah, it's weird, man. The more we talk about it, the more it feels like a setup, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. As we start to go through our conversation here, it starts to like refresh that Diamondbacks Game 6, Game 7 pregame show. Starts to refresh that Eagles Jets pregame show, man. It's like getting in my head and making me second guess shit now. So I'm just going to stick with my original prediction and just roll with it. I'm not going to make any predictions on the score. Just win the goddamn game.
Yeah, go
and they should. But yeah, it's starting to feel like a recurring thing in my head here where this goes down south. So I don't
seen
want
this
that.
movie play out before, right?
Yes, sir.
Sixers at this point, with what we know in the lineup, Sixers need to go and get this win, bounce back, start another winning streak. You have another in-season tournament game coming up this Friday in Atlanta versus the Hawks. You're on the road versus the Brooklyn Nets on Sunday. Scotty's boy Draymond Green's probably going to be suspended for like.
It's not my man.
I don't know, bro. The comments calling it your man.
That's his man. He's a Warriors fan. That's weird. That ain't my guy. I think he's just embarrassed.
If he's still in the chat, let us know, bro. I gotta admit, man. The Warriors were always like kind of like not my other team, but like when the Sixers, were a second round exit or not. Yeah, because I always loved Steph. Like I remember when my friends would hate Steph, and I'm like, how do you hate Steph?
I don't understand that either.
I still love Steph, but the Warriors have turned into a cornball franchise to me. You know who I find extremely corny, who I used to respect a lot?
Steve Kerr?
No, the dude that started everything last night.
Oh, Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson is incredibly corny, cannot produce the way he used to anymore. Obviously, age and injuries play a factor, but Klay will still chuck, and he does not shoot like that no more. And
I thought
Klay Thompson started that whole issue last night.
He did. And I thought Rudy Gobert was on to something with his comments. And trust me, I'm not a fan of Rudy Gobert by any means either. But I did like his comments after the game, kind of calling out
just
Draymond
looking
Green.
Looking
for an ejection, but more importantly, it kind of seems like the Warriors were trying to start something so that T-Wolves would get ejected, if that makes sense. Like to
kind of
deplete
even out
their lineup a little bit, and it just didn't work out that way.
Now, I will also say,
it is corny, though.
While Klay's corny, and Klay started it, because anyone that says that Klay, literally, you can see it on the video. When the shot goes up, Klay grabs, holds, and pulls here, and then the thing ensues. Draymond's an idiot because that's clearly he just goes right at the Rudy Gobert, who really had nothing to do with it.
He had an agenda there.
But the rest of the T-Wolves are a bunch of I don't even know what.
I was listening to Pat Bev pod this morning.
Oh, he's hilarious. What he called he called Cat son. Bro, I thought listen to me. Draymond's not letting go.
He's about to L him out.
I agree, bro. I don't I get it. Cat would have been ejected too, bro. If he's on Rudy's neck, I'm on your neck, dude.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm
That's
right
what
on
Matt Bev said. He said, if you did that to Embiid, we will have a chain neck grab thing going on here.
Until every person starts letting go, that's when the next guy lets go, right?
Exactly, man.
And was back there too. They're both just no, stop it.
You saw it with the Sixers, man. Even Ben Simmons had his guys back when he played for the Sixers, and that went down with the T-Wolves, man. So no excuses at all for those guys, man. It was clown behavior all over that game, man. Even in the Lakers game, man, Anthony Davis pushed the guy to the ground, the whole scuffle in that game. So just a bunch of crazy shit going on around the league. It's good for the league, though. Builds competitiveness.
It is. But I'm just even Draymond, I find corny, bro.
He is corny.
Clearly, Jordan Poole was all types of corny from what you're seeing in Washington. But to just knock your dude out in a practice while it's being filmed, cornball move, right? So basically snuck him because he had no idea that was coming. You're ejected all the time. You're not the only dude because they all bitch, dude.
Yeah.
But Draymond, it's I don't know how he's teed up a lot. I don't know how he's not teed up 10 times more throughout the course of his season.
I know. And the matchup with them last week, which the Timberwolves also won, and Edwards was going off in that game. Draymond fouls him late, and you see the talking at the free throw line. And Edwards doesn't even respond to him, man. Grow up, Draymond. You can't guard him, so you're trying to start a fight. Stop.
I find this funny about the Warriors. I know we're wrapping up this pregame live, and it has nothing to do with the Sixers game.
Got to talk NBA soon together, bro.
Because they the Warriors won the chip 2 years ago, right? It was Warriors then Denver.
Yeah.
All right, so they're not far off from being on the top where they were, right? I get that, right? And Steph is still Steph. But I'm finding it kind of funny how they have these little beefs or big beefs with two younger, lower Western Conference teams, Sacramento and Minnesota. Where's your beef with Denver? Oh, because you can't beat Denver, right? Where's your
That's a good point, man.
You know what I mean? You got I'm not saying the Warriors wouldn't beat the Clippers or the Lakers, but we don't know, and there's no beef with either of those two teams.
Stop riding LeBron's jock and start some beef with the Lakers. Draymond.
You somehow went from championship pedigree to having issue Klay with the ring fingers and everything to Sacramento when they took you 7 their first time making the playoffs.
They got into it with Memphis too, a young team.
Yeah, that's another team. So I find it
Draymond
nothing with Dallas and Luka, nothing with these other teams that are. What'd you say?
Didn't Draymond kick Sabonis in the playoffs last year? He was
suspended for a game. What did he do? He stepped on his head or some shit, or whatever
on his head, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
He like did it on purpose, man.
Yeah,
He's
another dirty play. But like
goose,
the Suns,
man.
there's no beef with KD.
Right.
And
Start some
Booker,
shit with KD and D Book, man.
Yeah.
Started with D Book. I dare you. Like,
yeah.
I dare you, because when that motherfucker starts talking shit, he's going off, man. D Book's not the right one to piss off. So yeah, I feel you, man. The Warriors, little cornballs, man.
Yeah,
Still
and it
good,
sucks.
though.
They've fallen
Still
from
good
grace
team,
for me,
though.
bro. Like I was like without the Sixers winning it, I was happy when they beat Obviously, they beat Boston, but like they won it 2 years ago. I love Steph. Like,
I was just always on the Steph side rather than the LeBron side. So I think that's where the divide comes, where people hate Steph. They're big LeBron fans. I've just never been a big
by
LeBron
the way,
fan.
listen, I will say this: it's a double-edged sword. I would say that Draymond Green, throughout the course of his tenure in the league and out the course of all the rings they have, Draymond does deserve credit for his role in it all. However, if Draymond Green's skill set and personality was on any other franchise, he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. Is that too far? He wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. If he didn't have a ring, because he's not winning a ring without Steph and Clay, and obviously when KD comes over. If he doesn't have a ring, in what world is 11 point per night Draymond Green?
It's a loaded question. That's a loaded question, because there's a whole conversation for that. If he doesn't land on the Warriors with that perfect surrounding cast, does he even make it in the NBA, man? Like I'm not even like I'm not trying to clown him. He's an expert at what he does at this point, right? Defensive, antagonist, whatever you want to call him. He's always had the tenacity since college. He's always been this guy, big.
Can't shoot for shit. Literally, shoot. Like let's not forget that he lost a 3-point contest to Kevin Hart on camera.
If Draymond gets drafted to the Sixers, you don't think he's out of the league by now?
He's on 8 different teams.
Like he's not, if you don't have Steph and Clay beside you, I get it. He also is the glue that kind of connects them.
Yeah.
But him without them is like nothing. So
is he though? Or could a lot of different guys have been the glue in that sense? Maybe guys weren't the triple threat he is in terms of rebounding, defense, assist, a leader, shit like that. Maybe not everyone can do the same, but I bet you could find a guy that can chew up rebounds and play good defense and fit between Steph and Clay.
We always thought basement, like Ben Simmons could be Draymond, like basement. Like he doesn't have the tenacity, he doesn't have the mindset. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Ben Simmons can be that now, but at that point, that's what we were looking at is like a floor for Ben Simmons. So it's it's not.
By the way, like people, I am not trying to back Ben Simmons here at all, but Ben Simmons' floor, so to speak, was 17. Well, not floor. It was actually a ceiling, but you get my point at the time.
Yeah, I know.
Ben Simmons was averaging 17 points per game. Draymond Green has not averaged double digits since 2017, and he averaged 11 points per game that year.
Is that his highest scoring season ever?
No, in 2015 he averaged 14. That's his highest, and he never sniffed. He never sniffed 12 plus before or after that. So
whatever. We can't sit here and go through hypotheticals, I guess, but I get your point, though.
I mean, sure. I'll just say in a championship year, 2 years ago when they won it, he averaged under 9 points per game. Now you tell me where if he's averaging that on a non-championship team.
Not to go down this rabbit hole, but that is the other side of it. Jordan Poole was arguably better than Klay Thompson and Draymond for that team down the stretch. So, like, they got rid of Jordan Poole instead of Draymond. I get it. Veteran, experience, connectivity, the chemistry that he's been there so long.
Right, and Jordan Poole's been nothing but goofy in Washington.
He is goofy as hell. But
I think I don't know. We'll definitely have to talk on Scotty Talks NBA.
Yeah, we got to connect on there very soon.
Wow, maybe one of the longest pre-games ever. Got off track a little bit.
Glad we didn't do it right before the game. We're good.
We appreciate each and every one of you that stayed through I don't know what yelling I heard upstairs, but whatever. That's going to wrap up this edition of DSM Pregame Live. If you guys are new to the channel, if you like the content, if you want to be interactive, the best spot to do so is on the DSM YouTube page. Smash that subscribe button. We're on our road to our first 100 subscribers and starting the new channel. We appreciate each and every one of you, and hope that you help get us there. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your night, and go Sixers.
Let's go Sixers.